Moving on. Afghanistan continues to witness terror attacks and there is no peace, despite the takeover by the Taliban. The people are dying in violence perpetrated by other terror groups like the Islamic State. The country welcomed the new year by witnessing a series of attacks and counterattacks. We have a report.
The year 2023 in Afghanistan begins with bloodshed and violence. An explosion occurred outside the military airport in Kabul city, in which 10 people were killed and 8 others were injured. The explosion site is located on Airport Road, which connects to neighborhoods with high levels of security and is home to government agencies, foreign embassies, and the presidential palace. The Islamic State has claimed responsibility for the attack. Such horrific incidents indicate the rising uncertainty in the war-torn nation.
In 2022, the reason you saw, I wouldn't say an uptick of violence, but you saw so many blasts and things happening, is because remember the Taliban was never one homogeneous group. It was always composed of a traditional tribal confederacy, which is what all Afghan empires in the past have also been. Essentially a traditional tribal confederacy with some semblance of central rule. And in this kind of a scenario, you will always have, rebellious warlords, rebellious factions.
According to the Armed Conflict Location and Event Data Project, the anti-Taliban armed groups known as National Resistance Front have ramped up attacks on Taliban forces. ACLED has recorded over 300 battles between NRF and Taliban in the first 6 months of 2022. The National Resistance Front of Afghanistan is a military alliance of former Northern Alliance members and other anti-Taliban fighters loyal to the Islamic Republic of Afghanistan. The Islamic State has also intensified attacks on Taliban forces in 2022. A recent upswing in IS activity reversed a decrease in early 2022 that came as Taliban forces conducted operations against Islamic State militants. Perpetrators of violence targeting civilians are often unidentified. A third of all incidents last year were committed by unknown actors. Targets of these attacks included journalists, civil society activists, and former security personnel. Maintaining law and order in Afghanistan remains a challenge for the Taliban-led government in Kabul.
The police ability, the military ability has always been extremely low to enforce law, and development is still on, non-existent. Mostly it's tribal norms out there. So this was number one. Number two, what happened since the Soviet invasion and the Afghan jihad is what little state capacity existed has been destroyed totally. It's a broken society, and broken societies, conflict societies, tend to have very high criminality. So it is the combination of these two, plus the third factor now where, at least previously the installed government had some kind of capacity. The Taliban literally has even less capacity than the previous government in that sense. So when you combine the first two factors with this, you begin to understand exactly why Afghanistan is an unsafe place today.
Insecurity has also increased along the country's periphery, marked by clashes and airstrikes on the Pakistan-Afghanistan border and occasional escalations in violence on the Iran-Afghanistan border. Dozens of such violence clashes at these borders were reported in the year gone by. The tension continues to prevail as incidents are being reported where neighboring state forces engaged in clashes with the Taliban. They even perpetrated direct attacks against Afghan civilians, or fired artillery or launched airstrikes into Afghan territory.